What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. As always, bringing you very incredible guests, very dynamic. My guest today, she is originally from Bulgaria. She joined the Syracuse Symphony Orchestra in 2006, became a nurse, also the owner of 3 real estate businesses, and is now an author of It Really Is Simple, A Holistic Approach to Self-Confidence, A Practical Guide. Please welcome Alexandra Dotcheva. Alexandra, thank you for joining us today. I'm super excited for this conversation.
Likewise, Deanna. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You are incredibly dynamic. Talk about living label-free.
Oh, label-free. Well, I actually have many labels, but they've all combined into one integral part of a strange person, so I live with all of them. But I don't really care about labels. As soon as you accomplish what you want in your life without worrying about other people's opinions, you're good to go.
Yeah, I would agree. I totally agree. Well, that's why we're here, right? That's why we're on Label Free Podcast. So I'd like to kind of just go through your story a little bit. So you came over here from Bulgaria in 2007, is that correct?
2000. I came here in 2000. Yes,
Oh,
on
okay.
a student visa.
Yeah. And so you came here with a bachelor's, and then you earned your doctorate while here in the United States.
Yeah, the master's and doctorate in violin I earned in the United States in 2007. I defended the doctoral monograph, and I was a doctor of musical arts from Louisiana State University.
Wow. And then you became a nurse, so that was more schooling on top of that?
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, that happened in 2008 when orchestras in the United States started bankrupting one after the other.
Oh.
The public support faded, and the financial crisis hit. And so I was employed with the Syracuse Symphony from 2006 through 2011 when we declared bankruptcy as well. But by 2011, I already had a job waiting for me in the ICU upon graduation from nursing school.
Oh, wow.
I went into nursing in 2008, yes, because I saw what was happening, and I decided to take a big risk because I had no science base whatsoever. As a musician of 26 years, I knew nothing but music. And so I took the risk. I put myself through nursing school. I learned the entire science vocabulary that was required for all these prerequisite classes and then for the nursing classes. And I started nursing as a professional nurse in 2011. And that was the year when the Syracuse Symphony declared bankruptcy.
Wow. So that was smart for you. I mean, that's a lot of time in schooling, but like good. Yeah. That was a good idea to shift your focus. Do you ever miss music? Because it's like a very two different things.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't agree more. I miss music. See, I used to practice so many hours a day for almost 30 years that because by the time I started nursing, I was already a musician for 29 years. And then I stopped playing because I immersed myself full-time into nursing. But I listen to classical music and other styles of music, of course, every day. Practicing, I don't miss so much because, like I said, I put so many hours, and it's a sacrifice since childhood. You miss a lot of fun events that the kids in your neighborhood don't miss. And I did describe this in the book. It was very irritating when I was growing up. Kids were playing outside for 4 to 7 hours a day, especially during the winter and summer breaks. And what did I have to do? Practice the violin. So I was allowed a couple of hours, 3 hours a day, playing with the neighbors' kids. The other time I wasn't allowed. So my parents didn't care that I wasn't happy that everybody else was playing outside and I was not. So yeah, discipline was instilled in me very, very early on.
Well, I think that's good quality to have. I don't think there's any having discipline. So, I mean, why nursing? Because you went from being very creative and musical, the arts to science. That's like, wow, 2 different sides of the brain, right?
And because Diana, I had spent 11 years in college earning the bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degree in music in a profession that was getting less and less in demand. And nursing was and still is in high demand. You can be a nurse anywhere in the world if you're good. And the schooling didn't require more than 2 or 3 years. I just wanted to have a job guaranteed based on the need of the profession in society.
Sure.
And I wanted to learn about the real world. I wanted to challenge my brain in ways that I hadn't before. And what was most interesting, because my parents were so concerned about this decision, very, very saddened, and they felt guilty because they got me into music when I was a child. They were both musicians. And especially my mother said, you need to learn math and chemistry. I said, yeah, I will learn math and chemistry. I'll study 6 to 7 hours a day, each subject, which is exactly what I did because I wouldn't have scored my A's otherwise. But it opened my brain in a very different way. I felt like suddenly I was awake again and living again in a very different dimension. But because when you're immersed into the same profession for so many years, especially from early childhood, it's great for the discipline, but it also limits you in many ways, because I was in a specialized music school for 12 years. So we learned absolutely minimal science, if any.
Yeah.
And this whole opportunity at age 32 opens my brain and my worldview so much that I will never regret that decision. And I knew at the time I would have deep regrets 30 years later if I didn't take that risk. So yeah, two different fields. And that's exactly where confidence is built, when you try something completely different. Because I did struggle with a horrible lack of self-confidence for over 2 decades before all this started.
Wow. Well, you seem like such a type A strong person. So like, I mean, and very intelligent to like just go from one to the next. So I mean, I give you a lot of credit for that. So let's talk about your real estate businesses, and then we're going to get to the book. So what got you to investing in real estate?
Pretty much the same thing that got me into nursing. It was a sudden fear of poverty and an urgency that my time was running out. So with the nursing, I wanted a full-time job. I wanted to go in the hospital or wherever that would never bankrupt, because there was always need for the care for patients. But then when I started the nursing career, there were just way too many nurses who were broke, flat broke, and they would not talk about it, even though they had this nice paycheck compared to mine, because I was a new nurse and they had much more seniority. So their hourly pay was significantly higher, more impressive than mine, yet they were constantly talking that they didn't have enough money for this, enough money for that. Then I saw the turnover, then I saw the burnout, then I saw how the corporations that were devouring hospital after hospital were treating the nurses and the doctors to some extent. Yeah. And I realized I'm missing something in this game, and I have to learn to invest my hard-earned money, because a 401k was not an option after 2008. Yeah. We know what happened to people's retirements, and look at what's happening now in the last 2 years. Yeah. So you have no control over a 401k, and then the fees that get devoured with all this money that you quote unquote invest in a very ignorant way, it was not worth it. So I learned from a self-made millionaire. I read 6 of Robert Kiyosaki's books before I jumped into purchasing his real estate online coaching program. Best money ever spent, but I first had to make sure that he knew what he was talking about, because you can't trust everybody. And there were all these pyramid schemes, and Bernie Madoff happened around that time. So once I read the books, though, I thought I need to take yet another risk. I need to learn now the finance parlance, which I was also very clueless about, because I was a financial invalid. I understood that when I read his books, and it bothered me that when I started reading, I couldn't understand 75% of what he was talking about in the books. And I said, that's just not good. I need to make myself more literate financially. And then because he's so good at real estate, I got really engrossed into real estate really early into reading his books. And then one of the classes I took, and then the second one was a specialized real estate class. And I started purchasing rental properties. I manage them. I love my residents. I can safely say that I probably now have the most affordable housing in Phoenix, in the Phoenix area, because I didn't choose to bank on my tenants and take their skin off, making them struggle for the rent like all the other landlords did. So tenants stay. We have a great, mutually respectful business relationship, and it's been great with real estate. Tremendous learning curve. Yeah, risk-taking, budgeting, some losses, lots of gains. Sure. But along with the nursing, now I have this investment base. Yeah. And I teach people how to do that, because that is a perpetual way to, that is a reliable way to build perpetual wealth. Yeah. And I also trade options in addition to that. Because you invest in several asset classes to be really efficient. In case one of the asset classes gets less favored by the market at some point, you can then compensate with the other asset class that is more favored by the market. So things fluctuate all the time. Yeah. And when you learn the permanence of the impermanence, you'll then learn to swim into this whole financial chaos and create order out of it.
What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Can we get a round of applause today? Woo! Today I'm excited to announce Manscaped launched their Ultra Premium Collection. Believe it or not, it's for your not so private parts. I'm talking about a leveled up hygiene routine with your favorite manly scent. And let me tell you something, oh, it smells so good. My man wears this every day. This is an all-in-one skin and hair care kit for the everyday man and covers you from head to toe. Manscaped is trusted below the waist. Now trust them with the rest. Join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com and use the code LABELFREE20 for 20% off and free shipping. And enjoy. You know, I'm a big believer in owning properties and real estate. We had 2 commercial properties and multiple like residential properties that we used to rent out.
Excellent.
And now my fiance and I, and my current significant other, we've got properties too. So I'm a big believer in that, you know, so good for you. So now, well, here's one thing I want to talk about: martial arts. So you're big into martial arts.
I did martial arts for over 12 years. Yes. That was a big help for my self-confidence boosting. My original lack of self-confidence built over 20 years into a pretty bad stage fright. I couldn't perform the way I wanted to. But with martial arts, that helped me get out of the music and out this bad mental history that I had mostly created for myself. Yeah. I got out of this own self-created trap, mental trap. And martial arts helped because I had great instructors that were both national champions. And the way they teach perseverance, old school, you just can't, there is no way you won't learn from that. And that, of course, influenced all of my other approaches in life and mental predispositions and control over mindset. It was great with martial arts. And now I'm a fitness freak. My fitness routines are very, very steep. They are based on the black belt mentality that I learned while I was earning my black belt in Shorin-Goju Karate and the blue belt in Aikido. So everything is connected in ways that you apply it in every other area of your life. But martial arts is, I recommend everybody, especially women, every woman needs to know how to fight very well. It decreases domestic violence, it decreases fear, insecurity, and many, many, many benefits.
Yeah, I'm a 2nd degree black belt, so I did martial arts for about 20 years. So I completely agree. Good. When did you study? How long ago was that?
I studied until 2017.
Okay.
From 2005, I believe.
Nice.
But in Arizona, because we were in Syracuse, New York, my boyfriend and our master there, Master Greg Tierney, Hanshi Greg Tierney, his incredible wife, Hanshi Judy Mudafre Tierney. They're now both 10th Dan black belts, and they're national champions. And for a long time, they were competitive fighters. They taught us all that. And then here, nobody taught their style. So I switched to Aikido, and that was another great opportunity.
Yeah.
And then I hit the fitness really, really hard. So I love fitness, crazy routines I perform, and it's been really beneficial.
Yeah. So, you said that you lacked confidence, which I feel is very interesting because you are such an accomplished person, regardless of male or female. You've accomplished incredible things in your life. So where did this lack of self-confidence come from?
It came from the ways I approached my violin for so long, because I'm a very fast thinker. I expected of myself to learn the nice compositions and concerti and everything I was playing as fast as I think. Well, it didn't quite happen that way. So I was constantly in kind of a fight with my parents, who knew that I was being mediocre in my practice. And when you're young, you don't listen to your parents very much. You want to progress fast, but I wasn't building a solid base. And then when I became older, in my late teens and early 20s, that hit me with stage fright. So you have practiced already 20, 21, 22 years before you start applying for jobs and competing against 40 to 500 people for orchestra positions, depending how famous the orchestra is. And you're delivering the way you really would expect to deliver after having had such great experience behind you for over 20 years. And that's just a very bad recipe for mindset and self-deprecation and self-humiliation with any mistake you make, no matter whether in the practice room or on stage, especially on stage. So you create this self-fulfilling prophecy that it's not going to go well anytime you perform on stage, and then you build this horrible mental history and you yourself deeper and deeper into a hole. At the time when you do this, you don't realize what exactly you're doing to yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
That comes years later when you're out of this whole thing, and switching professions really helped, because when I started nursing school, I was completely on my own, and I had to build a solid plan how I would survive financially through nursing school. And there was no more space for mediocrity, cheating, self-delusions. I had to be very objective and very clear with myself.
Yeah.
That was midlife crisis, when you realize, hey, I've done something for 26 years. I have nothing to show for it. Let's do something differently this time and take responsibility.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. So how long did it take you to really build up that self-confidence that you have now?
It was about 5 years to create the plan, or 5 more years to see the results from the plan. So I tell people it's not a quick thing. If you have put yourself in a bad position for over 20 years, you can't expect to fix this in 1 year, because you have to build the experience. You have to go through the mistakes and learn from them and be okay with that.
It's like being in an abusive relationship, right? You know, it's like being in an abusive relationship.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. Yeah, I know that people who have been in these, they keep making the same poor choices, just with different people, unless they make a solid decision to break that pattern. Absolutely. Yes. It does take time. It does take time. And it's like getting wealthy. It also takes time and very consistent planning and implementation of your plan, and prioritization and discipline and accountability. All these things, by doing them, you also build the mindset. It doesn't happen overnight. That's why getting rich schemes don't work, because it's just really, it has nothing to do with reality. And people look at the result, they don't see the huge part of the iceberg under the surface. It comes with every success.
Yeah, very true. Let's talk about your book. So we've kind of built up like the backstory of you, which kind of brought you to writing this book, right? Yes. So tell us a little bit about the book and how it's supposed to help people, and, you know, what it means to you.
The book.
Do you have a picture of it? Do you have a copy with you?
Yes, I do. It's right here. Okay. It really is simple, a holistic approach to self-confidence.
There's kind of a glare there. There you
Practical guide.
There we go. Much better. There we go. Perfect. Yes.
So it's on the website www.holisticselfconfidence.com, ebook and paperback. Paperback available in the US. Ebook all over the world. But the book came because people started asking questions. My patients were constantly asking, how are you so like 100% healthy? You are approaching 50. You're so physically fit. And I told them, look, guys, my diet is one thing, the detox every day, the fitness every day, 4 days a week for 2.5 hours a day fitness. All this is combined. So as a healthcare professional, of course, I'm biased when I see how the healthcare system uses patients as commodities and assets, by keeping them permanently sick with chronic conditions that are completely reversible, not to mention preventable. Okay, so I teach this to my patients, but there is a system to that, because you have to be uncompromising with your diet, detox, and fitness every day. So this is a big part of the book, is the health aspect of life. Then comes the spirituality aspect that you integrate with your health, career, and finances. Yeah. Career and finances being the other 2 aspects. And then lastly, the relationships. So there are 5 pillars of life that comprise holistic self-confidence if you have full control over these pillars. And these are your health, spirituality, career, finances, and relationships. Yeah. Okay. So then my investment mentees, of course, said, okay, so how do we start? How do we finish? How do we keep this project? And all this, I realized that I do with my health the exact same things that I do spiritually, the exact same approach with my career, how I'm going to be helpful to others while learning and increasing my experience. And then the finances, of course, is how you expand your financial base based on the work that you did helping others. And then finally, the relationships you pick to align with your goals and dreams, the people who you are surrounding yourself with. That's 100% your responsibility, who you let in your life and who you let go of your life, out of your life. I completely agree with that. So you cover all those different things in the book to help people find that correct path to help them grow, be healthy, and financially successful. This is the same exact principle across the board with all these 5 pillars. It's a very simple principle. That what is not simple is the applying it consistently. But
Yeah.
once you switch your mindset in one area of your life, you will be able to apply it in the other areas because they're just as important. You can't neglect any of these aspects if you want to be holistically self-confident and fully in control of your life.
I completely agree. I believe in having that balance in all those different pillars because that is really what makes you a very well-rounded and confident person.
Yes, it does.
So
It does.
I love your approach. We are definitely on the same page with that. I know you already mentioned it once, but can you please let everybody know where they can find you, connect with you, and support you?
Holisticselfconfidence.com is the website. I do have a coaching opportunity there for whoever wants to be coached, but I tell everybody the book has so much practicality to it. It's the most inexpensive way to learn.
Yeah.
Read it first, and then if you need me, email me at the email address that's there. But truthfully, it's a very, very, very easy read, and you can do a lot by just reading it. It may not even need my coaching after that.
I love it. You guys, I'll put the link in the show notes, so don't hesitate to go check Alexandra's website out and her book. So if you feel that you've connected with her and what the book is all about, go ahead and pick that up through Amazon, her website, wherever you feel comfortable purchasing it. This is the part of the show where I ask for any last words of wisdom or advice, even though you've dropped a lot of wisdom in this conversation. What are some final words you'd like to leave with the audience?
So the final words, be very careful how you approach the biggest problem in your life. The one that you're avoiding could be so big that you can't even see it.
Ooh.
But if you are truly sincere with yourself, you will find where to really start analyzing your current situation if you're craving for a change and if you know that you could do much more with yourself. In my case, it was that I had spent so much time with violin that there was not even an option at some point to even contemplate change because I had invested so much in my life. I was 30, 31, 32, and I started realizing that, and to me, that was my entire life. But you have 40, 50 more years, and you can accomplish even more because you're much smarter now. So don't be afraid to find what really is impeding your development if you think that you're not where you want to be. And if you are not seeing it, that means it's exactly around you because it's just so big you're saying, it doesn't exist, but it actually does. And if you find that, you will change your mind towards it and you will tackle it with honesty and integrity. And you can accomplish anything that you can. And see, that was the other part why I put the book, because all these things that I have done, I never thought I would be able to do. So if I can do this, I tell everybody you can. There is no reason why you wouldn't, because I was the most hesitant person at some point.
Boom, mic drop. That was awesome. Thank you for those last words. Thank you for sharing your story, Alexandra. You are definitely a very type A boss babe. You're part of my boss babe tribe now. So we really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing all of your pearls of wisdom.
Thank you so much for having me. I truly appreciate you too. Thank you.
You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. Please don't forget to subscribe, follow, like, comment, share, all those good things, rate, review, and I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.